everyone, this is China Paradigm, where we, Dashi Consulting, interview seasoned entrepreneurs in China. Hello everyone, I'm Matthieu David, the founder of Dashi Consulting and its podcast China Paradigm. Today, I am with Guillaume Sergent, I pronounce in French. You are the founder of Ailion, and I was asking you how to pronounce it. Very good name, actually. I really like it because I think it's both giving a sense of elegance and something like flying. I don't know if it's the influence of French on this word. Some that with power and also easy to translate in terms of pronunciation for Chinese. And we are in China Paradigm. You are based in Shanghai, and that's why I'm insisting on the Chinese perception. You started the business in 2015, first in France, then you developed it in China. My sense is that it took off and you dedicated more time when in China because that's the time where you found suppliers, you found people to work with. And to say more about the brand, it's focusing on golf. So it's about apparel for golf, including jackets, maybe more, and you are going to tell us if it's more. A bit of some numbers about the golf market in China. You are yourself selling in China and in France. I would say to France because I believe it's more on the website in France and more offline in China. So golf market in China. A few numbers and a few dates. In 1983, there were no course golf in China, not a single one. China has opened to the world with what we call Tiger Kai Fang 9 years before, 10 years before, and still there was no golf, at least the first one opened in 1983. It's said that we have about 1.2 million players in China. Would be massive for France, would be 2% of the population, but for China, it's still pretty niche. Golf is associated to success, to wealthy people, and you still only 1.4% of worldwide golf in China compared to 45% in the US. So if you compare the room for growth is huge, it may be a bit mistaken to compare this way, but still we are at a ratio which is 10 times less. It's like 50 times less. So we can imagine that it's going to improve. At the same time, it's a conspicuous consumption. You use golf to show off. You use golf to show you're successful. And that's not something that the government wants to show. So officials are not allowed to join golf clubs. So it's a lot of paradox in China as always. And golf is representing as well one of these paradox. Thanks for being with us, Guillaume. It's a long intro because I wanted to say a few words about golf. So what about Ailion? Can you tell us more about what you do and about the size of the company?
Okay, thank you so much and great introduction. I really like first how you explained the business and the golf and the paradox. It's exactly like this here. So about Ailion, I would like to come back about the name. As you guess, Ailion in French is the mix of two words, eagle, which is aigle in France, and lion, which is the lion. So it's two words combined, and we try to make it easy for everyone around the world to pronounce our name. So that's the name, and as you pronounce, you can say Ailion. So it depends about the nationality of the consumer. Then about our DNA, I would say we are a fashion lifestyle brand inspired by golf lifestyle. The idea about our brand at the beginning was I'm a golfer, and when I'm playing golf in France, it's in the middle of my normal day, which is the morning I could go to the driving range and I could have then a meeting. So I don't want to change my clothes and still look elegant, comfortable, So it was really the beginning of the idea to create a brand, especially a pants, which is our hero product. Then about our size, we are still a startup. So we are basically less than 5 people working, and we have partnership here in China, and in France we are just using consultancy. And we have a chance in France is we have an Algérie, which is Sonny Anderson, which is the former football player who played for Barcelona, Lyon, Monaco, and Marseille. By the past, in France, we sponsor a lot of big events as the Pro-Am Côte d'Opale, which is the most oldest Pro-Am in France, 25 years existing, with more than 400 players on 4 days, and also the biggest golf charity in south of France, in Cannes, which is helped to increase our brand awareness. In China, we developed more as partnership with golf clubs, and as you said, we try to mix offline and online shops, because as a new brand, people need to touch and to see in real our product.
So you gave a sense of the size of the team. Would you mind sharing the number of clients, number of SKU, revenues, a bit of a sense of where you are in terms of development? Still a new recent campaign, 15 October 2015. Let's say 2016. So it's still, as you say, a start. If you can share any numbers that would help people listening to us to understand where you are in your development.
Okay, so at the beginning we started just by one product, because it was just a crazy idea to give to old golfers and also like normal guy as you, for example, to be able to wear pants which is elegant and you can play golf or even ride a bike without to be wearing a sportswear. So we started just by one product, and then with the success of this product, we decided to have more SKUs. So now we are around 20 SKUs, but we are not thinking about in terms of SKUs, because now since few months, by chance, the retail mindset changed a lot, and the fashion mindset changed a lot. And this is something we try to impulse, which is reasonable and sustainable productions. Stop to producing tons of SKUs, which is just make no sense for everyone, not even for the customers, but even also for the world. So we have like a reasonable SKUs with products you can wear like daily life, and also during your outdoor activities. In terms of revenue, we are around 10,000 K revenue, which is like still the beginning, and we are still looking for the second investing time. So during this special period, because as you know, with the COVID-19, it's really special. We try to impulse more the change with this business model of making on order, which we start to think about before the crisis. So we will see, because to be honest, this time are really tough, and we are facing about big change.
Yeah, we are recording. It's 18th or 19th of March 2020. I have no, it's 20th. Sorry, it's 20th of March 2020. And crisis seems to be over in China, but still it's recovering. Retail is not, I think, entirely open, but it's on the track to be 90% open. And it's in Europe and the West that difficulties are appearing. I'd like to talk about the product. What's interesting in every startup, and especially when we're in China, is how do you create your first product? I don't think you have a background of fashion industry or as a designer or in manufacturing, and I think that's a question a lot of people have. Where do you start with? Where do you start from? What do you start with? I listened to one of you, and you said you find a factory because you were on the campus of Jiaotong and you saw people shooting and you were asking those people what they were shooting and doing, and then they connected to a producer. But more largely, how do you find the supplier? How do you manage it? And how many can you produce for a start? Because that's also an issue you mentioned. All the factories you met initially were asking for a huge amount of production. So if you could give a sense to people to us, how do you deal with low orders, finding factory you trust, knowing that you can trust them? And there is one I think is that you are mentioning that you have an IP, you have an innovation with your pockets, which can clean the balls of golf balls. That's also something could be interesting. How do you establish this innovation? Is it all by yourself? Is it with a factory and so on? So about the product, generally speaking, how do you develop it and how do you produce?
Okay, so the product first, I had the idea really a long time ago. It was funny, maybe more than 10 years. I even don't think about launching a company or a product. It's just I realized when I was playing golf, and when you are playing golf, the only moment you can touch and bring your ball and clean it is when you are on the green. And as golfers, I'm really picky with my style, and I don't want to dirt my red pants. So I was really annoying. And in France, we don't have caddies as we have in China. And my bag was really far away. It took me long to think how to clean my ball. And finally, the games just behind us want to play. And my friend said, "Hey, Guillaume, you have to play now. I missed my shot." I was really, really, really angry. And I felt like, why we couldn't have any accessory to help us to focus on the stroke. So I started to have a look on internet. I just found really just weird things, towels and small accessory you could put on the pockets, but which was really not convenient. So I started to think, okay, why we never bought golf pants? I mean, golf brand pants itself, because it's super expensive first, and then you will not wear it a long time. Or for example, it was the beginning I was playing golf, so I say, I don't want to buy one pants I will wear like 3-5 times per year. So I think about, okay, what about creating a product we can wear it like everyday life, and also which could be really easy and comfortable for golf. And then about the accessories, about the pocket, we said, okay, golfers like to have excuse if they are made bad shots. So at the beginning, we thought about just a towel you can plug on all the pants. But most of the time, people are not warming up, and I was sure they will give the excuse about this accessory. So we start to think about, what about integrating this pocket on our own products? So we did some research. I just did it by myself. I'm just a fashion addict. I'm just a fashion lover, and I'm a golfer. So I just know what I don't like. And if when I swing, I feel discomfort, I say, okay, no, I don't pull the pocket on this way and just use a zipper and not a button. So we just iterate a few bands. During this time, I was in Paris, so I went to the...
You created yourself. So the first prototype, we talked about the prototype, I believe, here. So yeah. you created yourself, right?
Yes. Yes, I created myself.
So when you had to... I see. So when you had to meet with a factory, you would be able to already show a product.
Yes, definitely. Before that, of course, okay, I designed it on paper, but then to make the pants, I hired in Paris a designer who just make it. So...
How did you find a designer?
One of my best friends create a company, a fashion company, and they give me the first advice. Okay, Guillaume, hire a designer. So then I just contact a fashion school, which are plenty of designers, and they are looking for experience. So I met the woman, and she did a good job. I give it to her, the draws, and we think how to plug all the details, the fit of the pants. I give it to her, one of my favorite pants, and said, okay, I want like this fits. And it has to be like this, the button, and all the details. So we build it together.
I see.
So then,
which fashion school did you contact? I try to be as specific as possible.
It's S-Mod, a classic one who just...
S-Mod, okay. S-Mod is in Paris, Rue Réaumur, I think, and they have also a school in Beijing. And I believe they receive investment from China, or the founders are both in China, and it's very connected to China. I see. S-Mod.
So yeah, it's just so. I was able to draw, but I was really not able to make it. By the way, I choose by my own the fabric, a fabric I really like, and then same as I had the advice from my friend to hire the designer. I started to looking for fabric, a good fabric. So then I went to an exhibition in Paris to find the proper fabric, which I had a really high expectation because during my marketing research, I just show really sporty pants or really fashion pants. And I want to give to my customers something really in between. But if you are wearing my pants, the purpose was, okay, you need to be able to wear it with a jacket and with a tie. So it was really tough at the beginning to say, okay, we need elastan, but not too much, because if you put too much elastan, you can guess it's like really a sports trousers. So finally I found it in the Switzerland's really famous manufacturer, which is Scholler, which used to supply Nike, Egg, North Face, and so on. So it was pretty expensive, but it was really, and it's still the best one. Like the first words about my customers when they try the pants is, "Oh my God, it's so comfortable. You didn't lie," and say, "Yeah, I know, I didn't."
We talk about the fabrics, right?
Yep.
We talk about
the fabric of the pants.
Only.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So then I did one prototype with the final fabric to have like exactly the shape and also the numbers of meters and seeing like manufacturers. So basically at the beginning, as you said, I was in France. So on this exhibition, I met some manufacturers, but they asked about 10,000 or like 1,000 pieces. So I was like, no, I don't want that. I want around 100 pieces. So then by chance, I moved in China. I followed my wife. She was relocated here. So I was thinking, okay, let's go. Let's see. China is really known about manufacturing. So I'm sure I will find a manufacturer. And
I'd like to pause here one minute is for the prototype. I understand you had a designer, but the designer is doing drawings. I understand you found the fabrics from Switzerland, but I understand that you created your own prototype yourself. But if you want to go beyond the prototype and to have something comfortable which fits people, you need to work with someone who knows how to produce those pants. Who did you work with to produce the prototype? Was it a small shop? Was it with a designer who was also able to produce some prototype? Was it yourself?
No, it was the designer. Me, I provide the draws, and then we work together about the fit. And then she stitched with the fabric I bought in Le Sentier in Paris. And we said, okay, here you have like too many fabrics. Here we need to adjust and blah, blah. So we did like this. At the beginning to have like almost a final prototype, which is not really final, but which fits. And then, which was the most important thing, is we did the final draw on Lectra, which is a software you could print the draw and make the pants through the draw, and you just cut the fabric with the draw. So that was really
the software.
Lectra, Lectra.
Okay, very interesting. So you have this software which helps you to communicate with manufacturers, with people who produce easily and with the standards.
I will add suppose to talk with the manufacturer. Why suppose? Because in Europe they are using this software. When I came in China, so as you mentioned, I found.
We go back to China now.
Yeah, I found those women who are just photo shoot for a fashion brand. So they looks Westerners, and by chance they were French. So it was funny, easy, and we start to talk, and they give it to me their contact about their manufacturers, which is really small, so able to make like small quantities. So I was like super happy. So I met this woman, which are managing the small manufacturer, and then problem started. Why? Because they didn't have Lectra here in China. They are not using this software. So it was like I had something, but we couldn't print. And we started because China are really strong to make garments. So we talked together, and they were doing fashion, small quantity. So they introduced to me their suppliers. So when I met her, I came with my software drawing, and I say, okay, I have everything, so let's try to make some samples. But unfortunately, I discovered in China, Lectra was really, really not really used. So we did just by copy at the beginning the product. And what I did.
See. So you gave a product to them.
Yeah, just my size to be able to wear it, to see and to test them. But at least you really need to have all the software, because the software give you to you all the size. Because the idea of our product was to be like not tailor-made, but half tailor-made. So we did the gradation, so which is like from we are using American size, so from 30 to 40 with the length of the legs. So we need to print this. So a race engaged, and it was quite tough. And finally, by chance, I found the contact of Lectra in Shanghai, who print for me the draws. So, and then I could give to my small manufacturers the draws, and they can cut my fabrics and make the first batch.
And so at that time, it was still a prototype. How much money does it involve? Do you need to pay them for consulting, for those time they spent with you? What are we talking about? Is it something they are willing to a bit waste time before you produce more?
You have to pay the prototype. Then they deduct the price when you get your order.
Okay.
And in terms of money, it's to make this kind of prototype. it's around, because you need to buy fabric. It's also your time, but at least it's around 5,000 euro at least.
5,000 euros for the prototype and buying the fabrics and so on.
Yeah, because you need to buy the fabric and you are buying small quantity. The small quantity means it's more expensive. Then you hire the designer to have the draw. So maybe I had more than 10 prototypes in my wardrobe, which we are not using at all, because at the beginning we had funny stories about they make the prototype but on the wrong side of the fabric. Our fabric is waterproof, stain repellent, and so on. So the stain repellent and so on was inside. So
I see.
You could guess. So you couldn't have just 3 meters of the fabric. You need at least 10 meters of fabric. So that's the point.
And then you produce about 100 units. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So we talked about the product. I understand now how you started. I understand what's the key differences and the unique selling proposition from the product. Let's talk about the marketing. You said that you do offline marketing in China and online marketing, as far as I understand, online sales with friends. Could you tell us more about how do you connect with clients? In some interviews before, you said it's a lot of connections, it's a lot of contacts. It's going to the clubs, the golf clubs, going to shops as well to add your products. Would you mind elaborating more about it?
Yes. So first, what is really interesting is to remember our audience. 4 years ago, all of WeChat, Weibo, and KOL was not so strong in China. Really, it was really the beginning, and now the game changed completely. So in that time, you didn't have so many and so much groups like this. I even don't know if TikTok was existing, or it was pretty low, I think. So you couldn't have any chance to promote your product like this, which is the case now from 2 years, I would say. And in France, we realized, and when I started the project there, I met golfers, and for me it was the best way to help people to know the brand, because we are not known at all, and you have so many brands, so many competitors, even not just golf brand, just fashion brand. So the big things was, okay, how a French guy could sell a product without talking Chinese. So I talk with friends. I, of course, playing golf a lot. I started to meet golf directors and so on. So we decided to follow the same strategy as we did in France, which is sponsoring golf events in golf course, met our customers, help them to touch, to know the brand, know me, even play with me with golf. And also what I learned in China and all the advices I got from people like you who are living there for a while said, okay, you should promote yourself. And at the beginning, to be honest, it's a bit tough to promoting yourself and sell yourself because you are not the brand, and I'm not famous. So it was more about the product. So that's the strategy we try to have, sponsored different golf tournaments, and help people to know about our brand, know about our value proposition, and it started like this. And also what is fabulous with China is you talk with people, and if they like the product, they say, okay, let's go, let's try. And we started just like this, to have some shops just drop some pens and say, okay, why not? We tried, and that's it. It failed on some point. It works on others. So it was quite like funny to see how the things goes fast in China compared to France.
One thing I like to go back on is which is you talk about sponsorship. What kind of sponsorship are we talking about? Is it about moderating an event? Is it about giving some products for free? Is it paying for your logo to be somewhere? I believe that's maybe something you may spare for a later time because that may be costly, especially for golf, because golf is where wealthy people go. So it should be an expensive place to do advertising and to show your products. Would you mind sharing more about what a sponsor can be when you start your business?
True. So as we did at the beginning, it was okay. We can't pay, or we try to avoid to pay and to give money because most of the time people want money. But hopefully we are a brand, so in all golf competition they are looking for gifts. So at the beginning we started like this, providing products, caps for the winners, some pens, some polo shirts, and so on. Then also a chance and how to promote a brand was to organize by ourselves or with others companies. So as I developed a good network in golf shop, in golf club, I started to meet some others industry as hospitality, as fashion, as retail, as F&B, to say, okay, I'm a golf clothes brand. We are organizing or we try to organizing some competition. So what do you think about to join us? You could meet like the final customers, your final customers, which is really tough in China, honestly, to meet and to understand them. So also with the French government, at France, we organized a big and a huge competition in Sergent golf course in Air France. So it was, the idea was to gathering the French community, the French style on the competition, and all the golfers, of course, really, really love it. So this is the first part of the sponsoring. And then, of course, as you mentioned, you need to give free gifts, free products to influencers, to KOL. And this is the part which is tough because you give some products to teachers, you give products sometimes you try to famous people or people who has like good network, but then you need to push and to have a real marketing plan to be rewarded. And when you're starting a fashion business, marketing is really a key. And of course, for us, it was our weakness because, as you mentioned, my background, it's a bit funny because I'm an osteopath, and then I did business schools, so I was really bad in marketing. So I hired some consultants, and we improved that. But then it was also after that the next step: build a brand awareness, a brand story, because at the beginning it was just a product story. So that was like really key and really expensive also, and of course we did mistakes, we did success, and this is startup life.
I see. It's interesting to look into sponsorship at the start, because when you look at luxury brands, some luxury brands took off with strong sponsorship. I'm talking about one which is very famous, which is Louis Vuitton, which took off in the US by sponsoring the America Cup, and being very, very present at this competition. And that made a difference. And Hermes, as we know, with horse riding, which is sponsoring races, is also sponsorship is actually a key component of luxury and Apple, generally speaking, events, gatherings, where you have some sponsors. And myself, my first company was a gift box company, and I sponsored as well. There was a question, what's the return on the sponsor? It's not clear. Now with WeChat, now with the fact that people can write articles on you and sell themselves after the product, get commissioned, I feel that it's getting more and more trackable, which is I think the good news for the future. How do you get an ambassador? You have an ambassador which is pretty famous. I'm not good at football. I'm not good at sports, actually game and those famous people. But he seems quite famous. How do you get him to work with you? He's called Sonny Anderson, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a funny story. Because of China, it's funny. As you know, we have a lot of WeChat group here, and friends said, my cousin is working on sports industry and want to know about sports industry in China. It was funny. It was 3 years ago, just at the beginning of Chinese New Year. So almost no one was there. And I remember all the comments was, why your cousin are coming on this time? No one is there. Instead said, me, I'm interested and blah, blah. So I was available and I say, I want to meet him and blah, blah. We connect through WeChat. We got a drink. We talk about his business, my business. And I said, okay, it was already like six to 8 months I was doing business in China, and I was looking for more things in France. And I know France, it's really important for them to have like égérie and really guys are really known. So we started to talk. He was really involved in football, which is really famous in France. And I just asked, okay, do you know like any famous people just playing golf? And he told me about, I know Sonny Anderson. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And it's funny because it was one of my idols when he started to play in Europe, in France, in Marseille. So I was like completely surprised and say, okay, maybe I would like to meet him or to be in contact with him. And in fact, I learned by the past, he was the best friend of his daughter. So he gave me the contact of the daughter. We started to talk. It was really interesting, and then we got phone calls, and I have to say he is really amazing. He's really kind, really mindful, and we met each other then in France, and we started, and he helped to develop the business in France. Introduced me some good relationship of him, and we started like this. But he liked the product again, and he want to also involve himself in a startup. So that's why I think he came in the project.
Has he invested in the company? Has he done something within the company, or
No.
What do you give to him? It's purely kindness, or it's purely help, or there is something behind it?
No, of course we got a contract. He didn't put money, but he is wearing and advertising us on his social network, and we try to develop network with others people inside his network. But for now, he didn't invest.
You said in one article that you have a partnership with Ctrip, and yesterday I interviewed another entrepreneur. She's in the travel business, so it's more understandable that she's partnering with Ctrip. And one of the questions he had is, how come Ctrip, which is a huge company, is partnering with small companies, startups who just started? How do you enter it? How do you contact them? If I'm correct, right? You said that you have some partnership and contact with Ctrip, right?
So it was funny. So it's during when I played golf once, I saw on the golf course a Ctrip event, which was organizing by the Ctrip Golf branch. So I talked with the woman and I said, "Oh, I'm a golf brand. Maybe I would like to sponsor one of your events. Could you introduce me your boss?" And she said yes. So we had a couple of meeting with them, and we sponsored one of events in Chichong golf course. So it was purely random, and it's just because I was playing golf during an event, and as I know, every time you are organizing a competition, you are looking for sponsors. So it was a good opportunity. And again, also they like the product, they like the cap really much, and it was like this.
The learning I get from the talk today so far is important to be present to events, to connect, to be open-minded, even to connect with online players like Ctrip, because actually they go to these events, they connect as well, and here you have the opportunities. Do you agree with that? Is it the way you see managing your business to be active in the communities, to be present, and to engage with people?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think even big company needs to have like new project, new products. They need to innovate. So they don't care if you are a startup or not. And even I think what is funny is just you have to pretend you are a bit bigger than who you are. And what you have to be careful is don't pretend you are bigger than who you are, but just be able to deliver like good product, or I don't know, good things, good training, good whatever. And even big company will be super happy to have innovation, to provide innovation to their customers. What they provide during this competition was a unique brand, a unique French brand. And after that event, it was really funny because we started to see some Chinese golfers with my cap, with my logos. And it was fun because my friends sometimes send me some pictures of those Chinese guys are wearing my caps. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, Guillaume," they started to wear your brand. So again, I think, as you say, the most important is what is the risk to just try to talk to someone accept a no. So it's really my mindset about that.
What I feel, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the fact to be a foreigner in China actually is opening you some doors. It's clearly closing some doors to some circles you cannot join, but it's also making you so different, so unique in an event that you can get access to, you can get in contact with, and people will not dare not to answer you, will not dare not to help you a little bit. So actually opportunities open as well by your own identity as unique identity. Do you agree with my conclusion?
Yeah, completely. I think they are curious and they want to know, they want to learn, and again, as you said, of course, we can't access from certain circle until something, until you are speaking Chinese, until you are respectful about their habits and so on. So for me, this is the best things I would like to bring back the day I will come back to Europe, is be open-minded and helpful. Just listen people, and you don't care about he's Chinese, he's American or whatever. And it's really this
exactly. And I feel that it's not happening necessarily in the rest of the world, not necessarily in Europe. When you are an outsider, you are seen as an outsider. You are seen as someone we don't want in a lot of circles in Europe. But in China, when you are an outsider and very different, we want to know why you are here. What do you do? You are a foreigner in country where it's difficult to make business when you are a foreigner, or you're in a golf on the golf course and you are a foreigner. What do you do here? So you are creating some curiosity. I like to. So you talked about marketing, which is more offline marketing, connecting with people. I went to your website, and because I like technology, and we do a lot of research with tech. I understand that you are using Shopify for your website. You use Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel. So you do a little bit of online marketing to the West, I believe. Otherwise, you wouldn't use Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics. What do you do to create traffic on your website? Do you do anything? Is it? I didn't see anything for the newsletter. I believe you have, but I didn't see a Mailchimp or Sending Blue. I don't know what you use. Could you tell us more about what kind of technology you use?
So we got two strategies. First for China and another one for Europe, because after a few months here, we try to use the same marketing and communications tools, but it didn't work at all. So for China, we are using Weibo and WeChat. Given some articles, not promoting at all almost our product. And then we are using a group.
Do you sell on WeChat?
Sorry
to interrupt. Do you sell on WeChat? Do you sell on WeChat? Because you cannot sell on Weibo, but you can sell on WeChat. Are you selling on?
Yeah, on WeChat.
Yeah.
Not on
Okay. Place where you sell. So you don't sell on Tmall, Taobao, but you decided to sell on WeChat.
Yes, exactly. So we are using this offline. For now, we are still thinking how to provide a mini program, but be different. So we need to think how, which is really important. So that the way.
Why would you add a mini program? If I may ask, is it to gamify? Is it to add a layer of engagement to add a mini program?
I think it could be more about if we are using mini program, it's more about the experience and how we can give something different. Because again, we saw a lot of mini program, but for me they are useless. They are just like embed something and just embed like the classic browsers, and you didn't have any purpose on this. So again, I don't like to do something like everyone do because you have to do. It's just be different, because if you are not different, people will give up the mini program and so on. So it's more we try to attract people, be different, provide different content. So which is quite tough with China. For Europe, we used to have a light newsletters to attract people. We are using a lot Instagram and Facebook, and we are also using our KOLs a lot, because we got also golf teachers now, so they are promoting themselves and help us to promote the brand, and also of course Sonny Anderson. So
how do you reward them? Because helping, I believe there is something like a relationship between.
Yeah, we give them some product for free.
Okay, so it's not commission on what they help you to sell. It's a few products for them for free, and if you find out that they are very active, you would continue to sell them in products.
Exactly, it's more about steps, and if they are able to introduce us some business, we can talk about next steps. But until they are not, we are just like this. But to be honest, at the beginning, we thought about this business model, just engage teachers to sell our product, but it didn't work, because teachers are teachers, they are not sales. So it was interesting, because at the beginning, we really thought about this.
That's something I find out. We always think that people are rational economicus people, and if you tell them that they would get 30% commission on it, they would sell and would do really things to sell. But actually, they would do better job if you actually get them involved in building the product, getting feedbacks, offering for free, or thanking them on Facebook or Weibo or WeChat and so on, getting them involved, getting them visibility, and also thank them. Actually, for most people who could help, that's good enough. and they're not looking for an additional business to make it as a business. That's maybe a mistake of business people, entrepreneurs who always think rationally about the relationship.
Yeah, I totally
so
agree.
you said that you do Instagram, and you are using also Shopify as a tool for your website. For people who don't know about it, when you create a shop online in the West, you have a few choices, but Shopify is certainly the one which is growing faster. You could use WooCommerce with WordPress. You could use PrestaShop, which is very fresh, and you can use Shopify, which is Canadian, and which is doing like 40 billion, I think, USD now. It's growing fast, 14 or 20 billion to open your own shop, not like Amazon, where you would actually be on a marketplace competing directly with people. So when you to create a brand, Shopify is a very smart solution. Could you tell us more about your experience with Shopify?
So first, at the beginning, I started with WordPress and WooCommerce because it was just a landing page and so on, but it was too messy and I think not really appropriate for e-commerce from my point of view. Then we switch on Shopify. Why? Because PrestaShop is great, but at the beginning for a startup, I will never recommend it. And all the consultants I met, they said, okay, you can have PrestaShop, but it's like give it to you a Ferrari and you just get your license driving. So don't go and don't invest on something you will not use as it has to be used. So first started like cool with Shopify, and you can make something really, really nice, really friendly. So that's why we pick up Shopify.
That's usually, yeah. The comment, if I may, the comment you just said is also usually what people say about Magento, which what I think built by eBay, which is a very heavy solution, and people have the same comment as you said for PrestaShop. It's a Ferrari when actually you need to start low key. You need to start with a few sales. You don't want to build a gas factory when actually you need a small shop to start.
Exactly. So then also I was really inspired by China for making Shopify. Why? Because in China, you buy in 3 clicks or even less maximum. And all the solutions we got in Europe was really too slow and so on. So I tried to find a way really short because again, we didn't realize how European and French people are not really internet open and friendly, especially when you are in golf industry, which are more, on va dire, we'd say 40 or a bit like 30 people, but most of them are between 45 to 65 years old. So they are not really open-minded and even they are going more on the internet. They don't know how to buy. So we think about that and we try to make something really, really smooth, really simple. Actually, you just in 3 clicks you can buy. So for me, it was really the most important thing with Shopify. And again, we just have really good feedbacks about our website. So I guess we did well.
I saw by looking at your website and, to inspect your website and the code that you are using Facebook Pixel. What do you do with Facebook Pixel? Are you retargeting people going to your website through Facebook and Instagram? Are you doing a custom audience? Are you doing lookalike? What do you do with Facebook? And does it work?
Custom audience. It works. We have more and more traffic. We have more and more sales. So Facebook it's now a really complicated tool. It's really useful.
Yeah.
it's not, I'm not managing this by my own, consultant doing this for me. And again, what I learn and what we learn is it takes time. So you have to be patient to build and to know more your audience.
Why?
And to extend your audience, because you make tests actually with Facebook, and they change a lot, really frequently, the tool, and you have to try to say, okay, I pick up someone who is following this kind of brand from this part of the Europe, the world, the Europe, the France, and then sometimes you don't know why your audience is increasing. Sometimes it didn't work, so you need to. We did some tests on 2 months, and sometimes test was really good and some was really bad. For two reasons, from my point of view, is just, again, in Europe, they have more and more advertising, more and more new policy also with the new RGPD policy in France. So it was a bit complicated at that time to target it and to know. And people don't want to get bored about advertising, and also because you are a new brand, you need to investigate some ways. So until that, it was really up and down, and now it's starting to be more stable.
What I understand as well, so first you need to test in Facebook, but what I understand as well is that Facebook is a bit working like a brain in itself. The more data is, the more you will be able to target accurately your customer audience. So the Facebook pixel helping. So that takes time, because it needs to learn who likes your post, who's spending time on your post, who is going on your website from Facebook, and so on. So indeed, that's not like Google, where you pay for keywords and you get immediate traffic. That something takes time. That's social, so it takes time. About funding, you talked about funding in some articles and interviews in the press. Have you got any funding? Sorry. And what's your view on getting funding in the fashion industry? I'm especially asking that about fashion industry because fashion seems like something that people want to start because they like it themselves, not necessarily because there is a business behind it, not necessarily because there is a rationale behind it. So I think investment industry is less mature in this segment, because it's a lot about the likes and fun to start a fashion brand. Could you share a bit of your view on it?
Yeah, it's even, if I can say, irrational, because as you say, fashion is kind of dream. It's like for me to have a club. It's like to buying. You saw all these billionaires are buying football clubs. So it's for me, it's the same. Comparison is good. It's like people who want to have their own brand and say, oh yeah, it's my brand. So first is we got a small angel investing, like as we say, family and friends investors, and then we got another investors from fashion industry. So that's the point, and that's how we start. But again, as you
create in France, right?
No, in China.
At the time when you were in France.
No. At the time when we were in China, but it's a French investors.
Okay.
So then I think again about funding. What it's a key point at the beginning is involve people who are concerned about you or the industry, and not just about money. Because at the beginning, if you are involving people who are not committed in the industry, they will put too much pressure on your business and on you, and you don't need pressure. You already have so much pressure as an entrepreneur. So that's the things. Then also the business model is crazy. Okay, we are talking now with the crisis and everything, but if I can, I just have a feedbacks and a reminder. Since 6 months now, people are more aware about sustainability and how to change the fashion business. But before that, when you talked about new model, producing by orders and everything, people was laughing about you. So even investors, when you present this kind of model, was really skeptical about that. So it was, and it is about funding how you will make your plan first, and then you have to adapt. You need to adapt your speech regarding the steps you are for the funding. So at the beginning, it's like family, friends. Okay, it's easy. Then business angels, you need to have a plan about how you will settle the brand and so on. And then the other steps, VC or bigger investment, is more how you are disruptive, or what is your new value proposition about fashion. Because I will not say it's easy to make t-shirts, but almost, if you have a couple of money tomorrow, you can start your brand, Matthieu. I'm sure you have like followers, you have people, but how you can be sustainable, and why people will buy your t-shirts more than mine or than Kim Kardashian t-shirts. It's more about that. It's a complete process about how to promote your project and find a good investor for the good funding. So
and the vision.
Yeah, so that's a bit crazy, and beware for me, if I can say that as an advice, like how you choose the funds, and it's really important then when you get funders to make some setups, really clear meeting about who you are, what do you want to do, what is the target regularly, because fashion is crazy and it can change in one click. So just beware of that.
Thanks, Guillaume, for your time. It's already 1 hour. Actually, it goes fast, as you see. I hope everyone's going fine who is listening to us. Stay safe, everyone. We are still in the middle of a crisis in the world. And thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for joining, Guillaume.
Thank you, Matthieu.